Playlist Tells a Story. I'm Jimmy. Episode 111 of a little mini-series I'm calling Tales from the Concert Floor. This would be part 2 of a 3-part series of Jack Perry talking about all those great concerts he witnessed in the 70s and 80s. And in this episode, Jack will talk about his top 5 singers of all time, a fantastic story about REO Speedwagon you don't want to miss. And we talk about the live shows he's seen, including Black Sabbath, Ozzy, and Dio, including a little story where Dio conjured up a storm as special effects for an outdoor concert at Mesker Amphitheater. So let's get back to these conversations with Jack starting now. Okay, so anyway, back to Bad Company.
Back to Bad Company. Yeah, Bad Company. Yeah, Paul Rodgers, one of my favorite singers of all time, and he's on my top 5 of singers, rock singers.
Oh yeah. Do you know your top 5 off the top of your head? Just since we're talking about it.
Yeah, Ronnie James Dio, Robert Plant, Steven Tyler,
Paul Rodgers,
and my 5th one kind of comes and goes.
Wild card.
Yeah, it's kind of a wild card. I like Bruce Dickinson.
Iron Maiden, yep.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to argue with him
He's
not
still got
being
the
in the top
pipes.
5.
Yeah, he's still got those pipes.
And being as old as he is, and he can still do it.
Yeah.
Of course, these guys now, they have the luxury of having all these high-tech equipment, all this stuff that they can put on their vocals now.
Right.
Auto-tune,
right.
auto-pitch, built-in digital sequencing and shit.
I tell you what, I don't know if Bruce Dickinson.
I don't know if Bruce would do that, but they kind of take that out of the vocalist's hands and put it in the sound engineer's hands of how to get that done.
Yeah.
Maybe Dickinson don't do it.
Well, and you'll appreciate this story, but when I saw him, it's been 6 years ago now. I saw him at the Hollywood Casino Amphitheater in St. Louis, and the night before they were in Kansas City, and I was standing next to a guy in Kansas City. It was at the indoor facility. I don't know where it was in Kansas City, but it was indoors. And Bruce Dickinson requires that the air conditioning be turned off because the air conditioning messes with his voice. He doesn't want it on. He wants it to be a hot box. He said it was hotter than hell in there, and it was because Bruce Dickinson needs that for his voice. Yeah, and I know how
keep the humidity up in the building.
Yeah, and I know you and I both are not fans of air conditioning, so.
Hey, I knew that he was a kindred spirit. That's for sure.
Yeah. But anyway, Bad Company, Paul Rodgers.
Yeah, Paul Rodgers, great.
I'm gonna not get off subject anymore. I'm gonna let you take over.
Okay, all right. Let's. I think everybody kind of realized I had a real affinity for Veterans Coliseum, downtown Evansville. Now, not a lot of people know exactly what that is, but
it's what Victory Theater is today, more or less, right?
That's exactly right. Victory, I think, is a little bigger, for sure.
For bands that could only get maybe a couple thousand people, I don't even know if it holds that many on the standing GA, but it's for those kind of tours.
Yeah, but this place had 5, 6, 7 shows a month back in the 70s when I was a concert goer. I mean, it wasn't anything to see Joe Walsh on Thursday night, and then Saturday night, Black Sabbath played. 2 nights, maybe 2-3 nights apart. You'd have that kind of people coming in there to play, and they played the Coliseum. I mean, I seen Joe Walsh there, Foghat, Black Oak, Arkansas, Dave Mason, Montrose with Rob James singing, which I saw Montrose with Sammy Hagar singing as well, but that was at Roberts. Robin Trower during the Bridge of Sighs tour. Lucky me, hey? Starcastle. Anybody familiar with that band?
No.
No. Star Castle.
I've never heard of Star Castle.
Star Castle opened the show for Boston at Veterans Coliseum. That's right, Boston at the Coliseum.
So
Wide open.
On that first album. Then.
Yes, the very first tour. But Star Castle, back to them. I may be one of the only guys around here that's seen REO Speedwagon with all three of their lead singers. A lot of people think they've only had one lead singer, but they actually have had three. Star Castle was a band put together by a guy named Terry Luttrell, who was the original singer for REO Speedwagon on the very first record with 157 Riverside Avenue on it, and
Riding the Storm Out.
No,
No.
Riding the Storm Out. That was the third record.
Okay, that's when
Third record. That's the redheaded guy.
We'll get with that. We'll get to that one.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
A different singer on that song.
That's exactly right. That was the first record with a different singer, with the third singer, actually.
Yeah.
Then REO2 come out with Kevin Cronin as the singer, and that's when I saw them at Robert Stadium with Grand Funk.
That was the show you were talking
That
about.
was the show I was talking about. Kevin Cronin had just joined them at that point, and they'd just put REO2 out. That was the only record that I even knew of at that time. But Terry Luttrell was the lead singer for Star Castle, which was kind of like a prog,
which was big at the time.
Prog rock, kind of a Yes kind of clone kind of
Emerson,
stuff.
Lake and Palmer.
Yeah,
deal.
kind of like that. Yeah, I've seen them, and then I saw him with the redheaded guy too.
Now, why was he? How did he become the third singer?
I've never really got that story. I've heard a couple of different rumors about what happened there.
You told me
Kevin
one
Cronin
time.
had a drug bust that he got involved in and had to do some jail time. And then I heard some other stories about him might having some issues, some medical issues of some sort that kept him from performing for a couple of years.
Okay.
But then, of course, they put out Riding the Storm Out with this redheaded guy. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I always thought the guy was a good singer. He had a couple of, and like Riding the Storm Out, that was his song. I mean.
And that was the album where they had they were all like, it was a group photo.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the redheaded guy you're talking about was in that photo.
Right.
I can't remember the name of that album. I see the album cover.
Yeah. Riding the Storm Out, that's the name of the record. That's the name of the album.
Is that the name of their?
That's
Okay,
the
gotcha.
name of the album.
All right.
And then I saw them with him singing in '75 at Robert Stadium. They opened for the Doobie Brothers.
Nice.
And what I remember on that show was at that time was the largest crowd they had ever had inside of Robert Stadium. And it was still a field house then, with the big pull-out wooden bleachers on the top deck.
Classic Hoosiers basketball.
That rolled out all the way almost.
Yeah.
And every one of those was pulled out, and every seat in the house, they said, had been sold that night. And I think they said it was like 13,128 tickets or something like that.
In the round, yeah, I bet.
And but this redheaded guy, a lot of the REO guys just never did like him. They just never did like him. The REO fans, a lot of the girls didn't like him as compared to Kevin Cronin. And they put 2 records out with him.
Gingers always get picked on, though.
Yeah, well, that's true. Redheads always get beat on. But they put 2 records out with him. The second one was a flop. Lost in a Dream, I think was the name of it. I have that. It's got a couple of pretty good songs, but not really very good at all. And then their big comeback record with Kevin Cronin with the Cowhide and the Flying Turkey Trot and Lightning and Keep Pushing.
Yeah, Keep
Those
Pushing.
songs, that was a big hit for them.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, they didn't ever really make it big until High Infidelity, but they were always a huge band around here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah, there's a regional band.
You know, I've probably seen them 20 times. I guarantee you I've seen REO Speedwagon at least 20 times in my lifetime.
This brings up a story that was in my back pocket. You had actually seen them at 2 different venues on the same day.
That's correct.
Yeah. Now, I think you started out in Terre Haute.
That's right.
Now, who were they with then? Do you remember?
They were with, gosh dang.
They were opening act, right?
Yeah, opening act. And that was the same night
Rose Holman Center.
They were at Rose Holman, and it was during the day. Is what it was. It was like a 1 o'clock in the afternoon show, and it was for some sort of a deal they did. The concert promoter put it on in conjunction with some sort of a charitable thing or something.
Probably something to do with the college.
Something to do with them. And then they got in their limo and drove to from Terre Haute to Evansville to play that night. So, yes.
Now, was that
2 times?
Was that Evansville show one of the shows you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I've seen them at, that show that night was at Veterans.
Okay.
Because I've seen REO at Veterans, I've seen him at Roberts, I've seen him at Mesker.
Now, was that when they opened for Boston?
At Mesker?
At the Coliseum.
At the Coliseum.
This 2-day, when you drove up Terre Haute and saw them in the daytime, then went to Evansville, saw them in the nighttime.
When they played at Veterans, I can't remember who it was.
Now, one thing I do remember.
But I know I saw REO Speedwagon play 2 times in the same day. The same identical set.
Was that when their car broke down?
Their car broke down in between Terre Haute and Vincennes, and we pulled over. Man, I can't believe you were. And
I remember these stories because they're so fascinating.
Vicky Reed and somebody else got out, and they got in the limousine with them. And they had a flat tire is what it was.
How did you know it was them? Just because it was a limo?
They were standing outside the limo.
You drove past them on the
highway.
highway.
And I thought, hell, that's the band right there. And stopped the car. And, of course, them 2 gals, they got out of the car and run back there. And sure enough, that was them. And they were just getting ready to commence changing the tire. The guy that was driving the limo
It was a flat tire.
It was a flat tire.
Okay, gotcha.
But anyway, yes. That's
You remember you said Gary Richrath was kind of like he wasn't socializing too much, but everybody else was cool.
Everybody else was cool, but Richrath, as I remember, I think he was sitting in the front seat with the driver, and he had the window rolled up, and of course they had the back thing sealed off in it, and it was running, just sitting there. He just sitting there by himself, him and the driver. And,
okay.
Actually, I think it was the keyboard player was the one that was doing all the talking, because he was born in Evansville.
Yeah. That always gets mentioned when they come through
they
town.
They always get that, and really, he's the only original member of the band.
Oh, even Gary Richrath wasn't the original.
Well, I mean, at that time, they were.
He put the band together.
All of them were original except for Kevin Cronin at that time.
Yeah.
But now, REO Speedwagon, he is the only original member, the keyboard player.
Okay.
Cronin was the second singer.
Okay.
And of course, all them other guys are back fillers, for the original guys.
The bass player's been with them forever.
Yeah, he's been with them forever, but he's not the original.
He sang Back on the Road Again, right?
Yeah.
He was the vocalist for that.
Bruce Hall. Okay. Bruce Hall's his name.
All right, so he wasn't there from day one.
Yeah, and Greg Philbin. Greg Philbin is the original drummer for them.
He was there through High Infidelity and all that.
Right. He left right before all that went down. He says that's one of his biggest career mistakes he ever made.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, was retiring before that.
Did he play on the Tune the Piano?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I think he's on that, but I'm not sure about the timing on that.
Right.
But then Alan Gratzer was the drummer, the original drummer for REO. And, of course, he's been gone for a long time, too. I think he might have been the first guy to leave,
Okay.
the drummer.
Okay.
He was the first guy I ever saw play drums with gloves on. That's what I remembered about him.
Oh,
When I saw them play the first time with Grand Funk, he had a pair of black batting gloves on he was playing with.
okay.
You know, to hold I guess to hold on to the sticks better, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, or not get callous.
Right, or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Okay, so
enough on the REO.
back to Starcastle.
Starcastle, yeah.
Yeah, that's where
They were like a 1 or 2 record band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
My buddy Dave Skelton,
Uh-huh.
he's a big Starcastle guy. He's a prog guy.
Yeah, okay.
He got a lot of prog records, and he's, you know, Spock's beard and
You're right.
shit like that, you know. Which is, I mean, I don't get, but, you know, hey, whatever, float your boat, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Black Oak, Arkansas.
Jim Dandy to the
Jim
rescue.
Dandy, baby.
The original David Lee Roth.
Yes, the original, the old leotards with the smoked sausage in it deal. Yeah, kind of a creepy guy, but they had a pretty good run. Black Oak did back in the '70s. Made a couple of really good records.
Tommy Aldridge on drums, right?
Yep, Tommy Aldridge, man, is that not unbelievable?
Yeah, he's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks the same. I mean,
Yeah.
he's a little more wrinkly now.
Yeah, but man, he has got that dude is stacked though, ain't he?
Oh yeah.
He's like a little frog-like looking dude.
Oh yeah, still skinny.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
got that big old, I don't know, curly hair.
Yeah.
Big old cotton swab hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, a great drummer.
Yeah, good drummer. You know, he's played with everybody.
We saw him play with Thin Lizzy in
Yeah.
Louisville with
Played
John
with Thin
Sykes on
Lizzy,
vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
good.
awesome. That's a show, man, that you can't, you know.
It's those rare ones, like you said,
yeah,
the Stones for you, and
Yeah.
getting to see not the Phil or not Thin Lizzy. Of course, you've seen Phil or not
Yeah.
with Thin
At
Lizzy, right?
Veterans Coliseum,
Yeah,
saw Thin Lizzy with
they were an opening
Phil
act.
Lynott, and they were the opening act for, I want to say, the James Gang.
The
James Gang with Tommy Bolin, not
after Joe Walsh.
after Joe Walsh.
Okay.
And I may be confused somewhat on my opening acts and headliners and
Wait,
flip-flopping and what band was with what band, because there, like I said earlier, man, there were so many shows, it's hard to, and I never bothered keeping my ticket stubs, which was, you know, a big mistake, but we saw so many bands there in the 70s.
Anybody or somebody came through Evansville.
They did. I mean, anybody and everybody was there. But getting to see Thin Lizzy with Phil Lynott.
That would have been the classic lineup with Brian Robertson and Brian Downey was on drums and Scott Gorham.
You're right, Scott Gorham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the Jailbreak
Yes.
lineup.
Man, awesome band, awesome dude, awesome singer, awesome.
Yeah, see, I know this stuff because of all the albums. You know, when you're listening to the albums, you know, all you can do on the headphones is read the liner notes.
That's exactly right, and that's that shit's all lost on today. I think,
with digital. Yeah, you're right.
You know, I think it's, but I've seen Rush with the original drummer
Oh wow!
off the first record.
Yeah,
That he only made one tour.
That's
He
right.
only made one tour with them, and he didn't even make the whole tour. I think he was diabetic or something.
Yeah, if there's something.
So he had some kind of a medical condition that kept him from performing. But I saw them with him, and then of course I saw him with Neil Peart too, which
Yeah.
I saw Rush at Robert Stadium with. They opened for Aerosmith,
They opened for Aerosmith.
and that was on the Rocks tour.
Okay,
That
so
was a tour that they did for Rocks.
so that's probably Caress of Steel or Fly By Night.
Yeah, Caress of Steel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says because when was it 2112 when that came out? That's probably when they started headlining, right?
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I think they did some shows though where they weren't the headliners. I'm pretty sure they played a couple of songs off of 2112 the night that I saw them.
Oh, so they weren't even. That wasn't even a breakout in America yet.
No, No.
When that album came out.
No.
Because when everybody says Rush, they think of that album. That's the
Yeah.
first one they think of.
Yeah. And, that first record, man, is,
Oh, it's as classic rock as you can get.
I think that was a pretty good record myself, I mean, that showed, they could rock and roll, and then it had some really good acoustic kind of stuff in it, too, that was, had a kind of a R&B kind of feel to it a little bit. But
Fly By Night was probably my favorite.
And that was, that was their, they really kind of broke out on that record.
Yeah.
I mean, they were.
That's the one that sold Gene Simmons.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a big fan of theirs.
Yeah.
Caress of Steel, not so much.
Yeah. That record was just kind of a prelude to 2112. And, that almost broke them, man.
Yeah.
They almost didn't get that record made, and there was.
They said they were going to be dropped if the next one wasn't successful.
Right. Blue Oyster Cult. Blue Oyster Cult's another band so loud it'll make your ears bleed. They were one of the loudest bands I ever heard. I've seen them at Veterans, Mesker, Roberts. Saw them at the Oakwood Theater.
Oakwood Theater.
Oakland City.
Now, was that... You're going to have to describe that a little bit. I'm not familiar.
That's out there on 57, like you turn at the 64-57 junction. You
Crossroad there, yeah.
You go north, like you're going to Petersburg, and you get up there, and it's about a mile and a half on the right. There's a drive-in theater. It used to be there. It was called the Oakwood Theater.
Okay.
And the guy that owned that, he put on some concerts there back in the 90s.
Now
Blue Oyster Cult, Nazareth, and Triumph.
Or Rick Emmett.
And Head East played. All four of them in the same day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was living down in Florida, and I remember Janet talking about that.
Yes. And Rick Emmett, Triumph was supposed to be there, and Rick Emmett had to play solo because his guys got to the border, and they had some paperwork that was out of order, and they wouldn't let him across.
Oh, that's why Rick Emmett played solo.
That's why he come out and played a solo set.
I'll be damned.
Yeah. Head East, they come out and played first, but they was just one original member, the keyboard player.
Like REO, huh?
Yeah, the lead singer, he was no longer with them. The guy that, the never been any reason guy.
Flat as a pancake singer.
Flat as a pancake guy. He wasn't with them anymore.
Gotcha.
He created a rock band called Petra. It's a Christian rock band, heavy rock band. That guy did. I can't remember his name. The guy from Head East, the singer. But yeah, Blue Oyster Cult. Seen them outside at Mesker and Oakwood, but at Veterans Coliseum, they were so loud that, you almost had to go back and stand in the back. That's how loud they were, Wow. Nowadays, I think they'd be trying to tell you to turn it down because you'd be hurting people.
But they were just spreading the message.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, who was the front man of that band? He had a unique name.
Yeah.
Let me find God, it's going to drive me nuts. Yeah, keep talking there.
Okay.
Buck Dharma.
No, that's Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, I thought we were on Blue Oyster Cult. Who are we talking about?
We were talking Head East.
Oh, Head East. Yeah. Sorry, we're going around places.
Yeah.
Well, Nazareth they played out there in Oakland City too, right?
Yes.
Was that the same day?
That was the same day.
Okay.
Blue Oyster Cult was considered the headliner that day.
Okay.
Nazareth played right before they did. Whew. Man.
Manny Charlton
I think that's
still
right
alive?
anyway. I don't know, man. I might have that turned around. Blue Oyster Cult may have played before them.
It's neck and neck then too.
Manny Charlton was already gone out of the band by then.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because he just passed away last year. I think.
Yeah, and then McCafferty, he just passed away.
Yeah,
too.
they was like real close to each other in time.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of.
Yeah, man, that guy was a hell of a singer, and and a great slide guitar player. Man, Manny was. He played some good slide leads.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah.
So yeah, we went Blue Oyster Cult. And then who we got next here on your hit list?
Okay. Let's see.
We talked Star Castle.
Yeah.
We got a list here in front of us.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a list of. So I'm one of the fortunate individuals who I saw Black Sabbath with Ozzy at Veterans Coliseum on the Sabotage tour.
Sabotage, okay.
And with Kansas was the opening act.
Wow, the Evil in the Air.
Yes, and Kansas was particularly great that night. Awesome, awesome show.
And was that Point of No Return?
Yes.
I was on that album?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah,
man, great concert.
Yeah,
and I've seen Kansas a couple, 3 times. That was definitely the best they ever were. And that was when they were in their prime.
Okay.
You know, Steve Walsh was, like on the Hammond, right up on the front of the stage, and just blasting the vocals. And by the time he quit, he couldn't do it anymore. He couldn't hit those notes no more.
Now he's been in and out of that band since then.
Yeah, he come back, and he was back for a long time, but now he's gone, and they replaced him with a guy that's really capable singer. I mean, he is. He's a good singer.
Hit those notes.
Yes. But I saw Black Sabbath with Ozzy. I saw Black Sabbath with Dio. And then I saw Ozzy by himself with Randy Rhoads playing guitar. And, of course, I've seen Dio in his solo endeavors.
Now, the Ozzy solo, that was Mesker with Def Leppard.
Def
Right?
Leppard.
Yeah, they were
Right.
they were on their first album.
Yeah, and that was Ozzy's. I think that was. They either had. I think they had 2 records by then, wasn't it? Diary of a Madman.
Blizzard of Oz.
Blizzard
was the
of
first
Oz,
one, and then Diary of a Madman.
Diary of
that was
a
the
Madman.
last one with Randy.
Randy was gone not very long after that show. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't. Yeah, not good. Not a good thing.
No, it was a lot of stories behind how that was a suicide. They said that was an attempted suicide.
Yes.
Because was it the keyboard player? Somebody said he had seen them. Randy was struggling to get him to straighten the plane.
Right.
And that's what caused the crash.
Yeah.
That killed everybody on board.
Yeah.
The guy was jealous of his ex-wife that was in the bus, and he was trying to take out the bus, I think.
Right. He was trying to hit the bus.
Yeah.
Missed the bus and hit the house.
Some people thought he was just playing around. But
Right.
He was, a very dark story, if that's true.
Yeah.
I'd rather it not be.
Yeah. I'd rather it have been just a stupid accident playing around. But you never know, But yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the Sabbath Ozzy concert you've seen, which one would you rank the best night? As far as, who would say that was the best performance? Which one impressed you the most, do you think, out of those, of that Ozzy Dio group of Sabbath shows? Hard to separate?
I'll say this. When I saw Ozzy with Sabbath, and it was quite a number of years before I finally got to see Sabbath with Dio. But then when I saw Sabbath with Dio, it was just right there real close together. I saw Ozzy with Randy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in the same summer right there. They were like real close together, them 2 shows were. And, I mean, for a guy who, admittedly, I'm going to be biased towards anything that Dio had anything to do with, because I think he was certainly the greatest vocalist of all time, of all genres. I don't care what they say. The dude, he had the whole ball of wax.
If there isn't light where no one sees.
Exactly.
Yeah, poetic.
And tell me who writes a better melody than Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
One of the very best.
So that's going to be seeing them with Sabbath out at Mesker.
Yeah.
And
that plus the fact that he conjured up some kind of something when he come out, or right before he come out, because
he controls the weather.
Yes.
Yeah, tell him the story behind that.
There's all kinds of stories about, the black magic and the devil and all that. And I never really bought into all that other than just the theatrical part of it. So we're there. We're at Mesker, man, and it is blazing hot, man.
Sammy Hagar's the opening act.
Sammy Hagar has just been out there in his little red jumpsuit and his little black thong. And, you know, his red jumpsuit turned see-through in about 10 minutes of sweat.
Yeah.
And the next half hour was watching him jump around in his little panties.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a parachute outfit, right?
It was a red parachute outfit.
No air out there.
Yeah. And, you know, and here's the thing with Sammy. I like Sammy. I think Sammy knows how to party. And I think Sammy is a good entertainer. But come on, Sammy. Put some clothes on. You and Dave, come on. You and Dave both put some clothes on.
It's a Van Halen requirement.
It must be. Yeah, it must be a prerequisite to join. But anyway, back to Sabbath.
Hot day in 1980.
Hot, yes.
Hot summer of
80. And so.
This is Heaven and Hell, not Mob Rules, right?
Yes, that's correct.
It was the first album.
That was the first record.
Okay.
But I think they did do maybe a tune or two off of that Mob Rules. Maybe.
Okay. They had a couple of.
Like, God dang.
Turn Up the Night.
Yeah.
Or.
I think maybe they even did Sign of the, or not Sign, they did
Sign
of the Southern Cross. I know they did that. They did, damn, what's the song?
Country Girl.
I think it might have been Country Girl that they did. But anyway, back to the more.
Jack's out there as swamp ass.
Yeah. I'm out there sweating. I'm like no tomorrow. And, you know, I like it hot, but it was miserable. A lot of people there.
I've worked Mesker. I can attest.
You're down in that hole. Sun's right over the top. Well, about the time Sabbath starts getting ready to roll up, they're just battening down the stage and getting everything set up for Sabbath. And they got these big black curtains hanging behind the stage from the lighting rig. All the way across, they're like panels like, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 feet wide.
Decor for the show presentation.
Yeah, 50 feet long, maybe 50 feet tall, whatever. And about the time that they were getting ready to come out, I'm looking over in the west, and dude, there is a storm cloud coming up in there like you would not believe. And I mean, it's a tall one, and it's black, and it's coming. And I'm thinking, there's no way this is happening. It's going to rain. Well, you know, it's been so long ago. I mean, that's been 43 years ago. Soon be 43 anyway. Probably has been. But as my memory serves me correctly, Sabbath comes out. And
all the lights are off.
No lights, no nothing.
It's dark.
It's almost dark, and it's lightning. And this black cloud is still coming up, and you can see the lightning popping in this cloud, and the freaking wind starts blowing. And I thought, well, here comes the rain.
Now, is this behind the stage?
This is like off to the. It's kind of like behind and coming up from behind of the stage.
Okay.
Well, anyway, off to one side, off to the right as you're facing the stage,
okay.
kind of.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so they come out, and here comes Dio. He comes right out on the edge of the stage, and I'm telling you, people, he's got this red spotlight thing that's on the stage.
Front and center.
Right in the middle of the stage, right on the edge, and he walks up there, and they turn that light on, and the wind's blowing, and them curtains are flying back in the air.
Yeah, back toward the zoo.
Back towards the zoo, and a little bit off to the left side, kind of fluttering like a flag kind of deal. The wind's blowing his hair, Dio's hair, and he comes out to the edge of the stage. He don't even have a microphone yet, and he holds his hands up with his horns, signature horns, both hands, and he's got this shirt on that's got these bat wing-like things underneath both sleeves, and this red light is shining right in his face. And I'm telling you, people, if he's not channeling Lucifer himself, he sure is trying hard. Because it absolutely took me a couple of minutes just to get my bearings straight from watching him. And then, of course, the song started, and forgive me, because I don't even know what the song was. I don't even know what they opened with. You, baby?
No, I wasn't. I was 9.
You were 9.
Well,
but you knew who opened for him.
Well, yeah.
You know who opened for him.
Well, I had to look it up.
Yeah. But anyway, that song started, and the wind blew for that whole song, and then it quietened down. It never rained a drop, and they played the whole set. And I was already a big Dio fan anyway, I mean, I'd had all the Rainbow records. I was probably the first person in Princeton that had a Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I remember that it came out. It was at Karma Records. I was with your older sister Debbie when I bought that record, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, it was me and Debbie. Me and Debbie and Jerry Jo Bishop, my girlfriend. We was in the Karma Records on Green River Road, and this guy says, "Oh man, you got to hear this record." And he puts it on they played records in there too all the time.
Man on Silver Mountain.
Man on the Silver Mountain, and I'm buying it. I think it was $5.98. That record.
That brings up another question. Buying tickets. Was it just easy to go up the night of to buy the tickets, or did you have to buy in advance?
We never bought advance tickets for nothing. We always bought our tickets right there at the gate.
Okay.
At all the places, at all of them. There might have been a few times that we went to Mesker, we had tickets, but that would have been later on, That would have been after you started working out there and yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't a thing back then.
No, advanced ticket sales never really ever took off. I don't think until you got to where you got away from all the general admission stuff to begin with. That way you had assigned seats on the floor that people could buy.
Yeah.
And then everybody got greedy, too.
Well, yeah, that's today's.
The greed today in the music business is unbelievable, I think.
And people still give their money.
And people are still paying it. I mean, come on. Hey, I think I paid $6.50 to see the Eagles in their prime.
Right. And look what they're paying today.
And people are paying thousands of dollars to see them now.
Yeah.
And take my advice, folks. They might be the Eagles, but they're not as good as they was when they was in their 20s and 30s.
Amen.
And, that's just all there is to it. Father Time does not play favorites, even if you got a lot of money.
No.
He's still going to run out of time.
Enough technology is going to make up for aging and, losing some of that as you get older,
Yeah, absolutely.
War Pigs is supposed to be the average first song they played on that set list.
And I was going to say that's what it was, but I couldn't remember if they did that there.
Right.
Because
they switched it up.
Yeah, it probably was that, but
they said it was only, according to the internet here, what side I'm on, setlist.com. It says War Pigs opened up 105 shows. The original, the song Black Sabbath one time, and Neon Nights one time. So
well, my pick of them would have been Neon Nights.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's probably one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs of all time, right there. It's
and
just
that was their closer there.
Man, what a great
last
song!
Tour.
Yeah, and one of my favorite concert memories of all time, Jimmy, will be the night that you and I got to go see Dio at the 8 Second Saloon,
a country bar,
in Indianapolis, Indiana. It used to be an old bowling alley that they turned into a giant party bar. Jimmy.
This has been the year 2000 on the Magica tour.
Exactly, right. He was getting warmed up, I think, to go to Europe, wasn't he?
I think
wasn't
so.
That what he was getting ready? He was just doing some
small. This is a bar.
Yes, this is a bar, and me and Jimmy are standing about, I don't know, probably 15, 20 feet from Ronnie James Dio while he's on stage singing. Yeah. Not just standing there looking at him. He's singing, and we're standing there with our Jaws on the floor.
Yeah, Jimmy Bain, the Rainbow Days on bass.
Greg Rowe, was it? What was it?
Simon Wright on drums.
What's the guy's name that played guitar?
Craig Goldie.
Yeah, on guitar.
He replaced Vivian Campbell on the solo albums.
Yeah.
So you're getting the best of deal there.
And I'll tell you, it was, and it wasn't no,
you got your money's worth.
Practice session, that's for sure. I mean, they played just like they were in front of 20,000 people. Yeah, and it was, and man, went home, drove all the way home from Indy that night, and laid in bed and laid there all night awake, thinking about it the whole time, thinking about every little thing he did. You could see all of his little mannerisms and who he was looking at and where he was looking, and when he was looking at the sound man, when he was looking for a certain kind of something on his mic or something. You remember that one time when he pointed at the guy on the side of the stage and he went, flicked that little, flicked a little 6-shooter at him.
Yeah,
man, it was pretty cool. I know that it was awesome to see him in a t-shirt and blue jeans, just belting out, just oh my God,
Claude Schnell on keyboards.
I mean, the guy was.
He was having a good time.
Yes, he enjoyed himself. He was thoroughly enjoying himself, and I don't know, a lot of people. I read a lot about Dio on Twitter. I'm on my Twitter feed. I get a lot of stuff about Dio on there, and his wife has been pretty forthcoming about how Ronnie was in his private life, and when he wasn't performing, what kind of a guy he was, and what a kind of a generous soul he was, and totally the opposite on stage.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And most of them are, and a lot of musicians are introverts.
Yes.
It's kind of funny.
But Ronnie was, he was there for a long time, man. Ronnie Dio and the Prophets. How Doo-wop City, with the DA haircuts and the whole thing,
Pompadour, it's kind of odd to think that's the same person.
Yeah. Great career. And left us way too soon, that's for sure.
That's right.
For sure.
So you would say it's hard to compare.
Hard to compare.
Ozzy and Dio Sabbath.
Ozzy, of course, is Ozzy. There's no argument that
he's
Ozzy's
one of the greatest frontmen.
One of the greatest frontmen that ever walked, no doubt.
Yeah.
And
he had that leap, that little. Well, I don't even know how you describe that little jump he does. It's like a elf or something.
Well, did you ever see him do it where he starts out kind of slow and he builds up to it, and by the time he gets done, he's jumping like 4 feet off the floor.
Yeah,
he's just crazy.
He's an
how
athlete.
He could do that. Now, I know he don't do that anymore.
But it's
probably hasn't done it for years.
It's like he was on all fours, and then he'd jump up. His hands would come up a little bit, and he'd land back on all four. It was a strange little leap. The music brought it out of him.
Oh man, and what a performer though.
The white jump. One of these Halloweens, I'm gonna dress up in that white jumpsuit with the frill. Is it frill?
Yeah.
That hangs off. And they get the golden cross. And blacken my eyes and all that. And do the full Ozzy.
Yeah, dude, just go full blown.
The 79 never say die off.
Yeah. Or you could go all the way back to volume 4.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's on the cover.
He's on the cover of that one too.
That was his trademark. The Sabbath days, and even solos. The early Randy Rhoads stuff.
And that's my favorite record by them is Volume 4.
Snowblind, right?
Snowblind. Great record.
Yeah.
A little bit different production than the first couple 3 records they had, but.
Okay, let's end the conversation right there. Part 2 of Tales from the Concert Floor. Tune in next week when we finish out our conversations with Jack. And until then, goodbye.